Great. So now that we've gone over what a topic is, and we've gone over what a main idea is, we need to figure out what supporting evidence is. Supporting evidence will be used to convince our readers of our main idea. We need some foundation so that they can understand what we're trying to get across. So, please copy this down in your guided notes. Can someone read the definition for me?
I'll read it. Supporting evidence helps main ideas become convincing and accepted. Without the supporting evidence, there's no proof that the main idea is true.
Exactly. So supporting evidence is proof of our main idea. It's going to be used to support our argument. Okay, so let me give you an example of how I like to create supporting evidence for a specific topic. Okay, my topic is New York City. Pat, can you read my main idea?
New York City is a very exciting place.
Okay, so that is my main idea. And I know that we all agree with me, but let's come up with some proof so that people who don't necessarily live in New York might understand what we feel. My supporting evidence, one of my points is that theater in New York City is accessible, cutting edge, and risk-taking. Allison, can you read my second point?
Breakthrough New York is a unique, fun, and supportive community that cannot be found in any other city.
Right, so I point out here that Breakthrough New York is unique to New York, and that is why I find it an exciting place. Stuart, can you read my last point?
People that live in New York City come from many different countries of origin. This allows for great diversity amongst people and more opportunity to be exposed to different cultures.
Right, so in New York there's so many different kinds of people from all over the world, and I think that it's an extremely valuable resource as a student who's looking to do research and just experience lots of different kinds of life. New York is a great place for that. So does anyone feel that this supporting evidence does not actually support my main idea, or do they have any other additional pieces of evidence that they could add?
Well, there's a lot of other evidence about
Definitely.
New York City being an exciting place. I mean, I like all of the restaurants
Yes.
that are here, and I love the buildings, and I love the exciting views that you can get from a lot of these buildings.
The large skyscrapers, definitely. Okay, so the views, restaurants, lots of different kinds of buildings. Do you have anything else to add?
Museums.
Museums,
Lots of museums.
definitely. Right, so these are all different kinds of evidence that you could add to make this a really wonderful paragraph. And, you know, these are just mine. So when we go into more exercises, you'll be able to create your own supporting evidence. And right now, I'm going to give you a topic. I'm also going to give you a main idea, and together we'll come up with supporting evidence to create a great paragraph. So, Pat, can you read for me my topic?
West Side Story.
And Allison, what is my main idea?
The play West Side Story is based on William Shakespeare's play Romeo and Juliet.
Romeo and Juliet. Okay, so we all know this play. We're reading in class. Can someone actually tell me about what are some of the themes in Romeo and Juliet to get our supportive evidence going?
It's about a feud that happens between two different families in Italy a long time ago.
Okay, so feuding families. Is there any other theme that we remember?
And because the families are feuding, the lovers cannot be together.
Okay, right. So there's feuding families, which means that the lovers in this story, which is a really big theme, cannot be together. Right, okay. Is there anything else?
Well, and of course, a story is one of a tragedy in which both, at the end, both Romeo and Juliet
Right.
die.
Okay, so we have feuding families, which creates a lover situation that they cannot be together. And then also it's a tragedy because both those lovers die. Of course, there's probably many other themes, but let's just stick with a few of them to work with our supporting evidence. Now let's talk about West Side Story. So let's think, are there any similar themes that we see in West Side Story and also in Romeo and Juliet that we could use for our supporting evidence?
Well, you have, again, two lovers
Right.
from two differing groups who are
Different groups,
feuding.
definitely. Right. Okay, so the lovers and the feuding groups, maybe not necessarily families, but definitely feuding groups. Great, that's two excellent pieces of supporting evidence. Anything else?
Well, again, it's a tragedy.
It is a tragedy.
Because it doesn't end well at the end for either I think it's Tony and Maria.
Tony
So-
and Maria, right.
So, and again, it ends pretty sadly.
So you would say it is a tragedy as well. Okay, so we have feuding groups, maybe not families, but that's definitely a similarity that we could say is based, that we could use for our evidence. We have the two lovers, and then we also have the tragedy. So those are already three great similarities that we could use as supporting evidence. Now, it's also very important to make sure we can understand any counter-arguments so that we can better improve our arguments. So does anyone have any differences that they see between these plays?
Well, they take place in different time periods,
Okay.
and basically the feud in Romeo and Juliet has to do with perhaps political power amongst
Political
the
power,
two
okay.
families, and whereas in West Side Story, it's more of like a race issue.
Okay, so you would say that in Romeo and Juliet, it's centered around an issue of politics within the families. But then in West Side Story, you'd say that it's more about a racial or ethnic issue? Okay, great. Does anyone else have something to add?
Well, the differences that you raised don't take away from the fact that the themes and the stories are very similar.
Right.
You know, they're just set in different time periods and different issues.
Right, exactly.
And the other thing is one's a musical and
Oh, which one is musical?
West Side Story.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, and the other's a play.
Okay, so Stuart brought up a really great point, which was that we have acknowledged these differences, but they don't necessarily take away from the large similarities that we've already established. However, it's really powerful in a lot of articles to actually note these differences, but then say, you know, that although I recognize that there are these differences, I believe that these similarities are more important and more tangible to my main idea. Okay, so this was excellent. You guys did a great job. I think that now that we know what a topic is, what a main idea is, and supporting evidence, we can form really wonderful paragraphs that would convince our readers of our points. And also, when we're reading our articles now and we're reading the essays, we can identify and comprehend exactly what the author is trying to get across. So, great job today.